You ever thought about how every father, man, or guardian understands instinct? Like you lock your car doors, you know who's allowed and who isn't allowed in your home, and you're always ready to protect your child from physical harm or danger. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Many homes are physically secure, but they're digitally open and vulnerable, like your phones, your tablets, gaming systems, social media, streaming platforms. I was thinking about this the other day. Our kids can access more influence, ideologies, temptations, and dangers from their bedroom than most adults have faced in their entire life. You can literally induce trauma from looking at a screen from the confines of your bedroom. That's a problem. The question is, what the hell are we gonna do about it? So if I told you a stranger was following your kids around, tracking their every move, recording their every word that they said, and whispering lies all throughout the day, you'd probably want to handle that threat immediately. You'd also probably want to call the police. You might even want to get physical. But it's not a hypothetical. It's not a real person. It's a predictive model. It's literally an algorithm because we live in a digital age. Hold on. Before we go any further, time out. If you value content that helps you lead, protect, and build stronger systems at home, hit the subscribe, tap the like, drop a comment. So this content reach more people who's looking for discipline, intention, and accountability. All right, back to the episode. Let's get into what we do about this. Today, we're talking about the silent parent in the home. It's the one that doesn't sleep and the one that honestly doesn't care about your child's soul. It's the one that cares about their retention. I'll be real with you. If you're not actively disciplining your children, the algorithm will. And unlike you and I, the algorithm creates content at the speed of light. So today, let's deploy a defense strategy. We're going to look at ways that we can stop the algorithm from raising our kids using the ultimate source code, and that's the word of God. For those of us that are in the cybersecurity field, computer science fields, respectively, there's a principle called garbage in, garbage out. Essentially what that is, if you feed the system corrupt data, the system produces corrupt results. And honestly, you can't expect clean output from a compromised input. It's kind of go along with the lines of bad parenting skill sets and coping mechanisms and things that are passed down out of context, obviously induces trauma on the children. A lot of children that become adults are so-called functioning adults in the world we live in today. Your child's mind is the operating system, and the content that they consume is the data. Right now, platforms like TikTok and YouTube Shorts aren't designed to educate us. They're designed for dopamine loops, and they're designed to keep all of us users scrolling by triggering outrage, envy, lust, and so many other things. This legit isn't an accident, it's a feature. Ironically, the Bible identified this input-output problem thousands of years before the computer first was introduced. So in Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23, keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of the world. See, the word keep in Hebrew means to guard like a military sentry, to watch the perimeter. Why? Because what enters the heart determines the issues, the boundaries, and the direction of their life. Because see, if the algorithm is feeding your son fear, the output will be anxiety. And if it feeds your daughter vanity, her output will be insecurities. Some of us obviously know this already, but you got to do an audit. You need to inspect the logs just as a system administrator would, checking their devices and checking all the devices of your home. Just because you give your child a device doesn't mean it's theirs. I know a lot of people talk about privacy, but spot checks needs to be done so you can figure out and understand what things your kids are consuming. Because a lot of things are being consumed without context or understanding. I'm pretty sure we could all think back to a time where our parents or a guardian or somebody was trying to give us some advice about something, and we just act like we knew it all. And a lot of the times this typically happens in our teens, well into our 20s. So when you're doing a spot check, don't just check the search history. Pick up the device, scroll their For You page for a little while, few minutes, and honestly, that's their digital window into the soul of what they're consuming and what the algorithm is feeding them. You can set up safety guardrails as well, hard code limits, use tools like Apple Screen Time or Google Family Link, not just to limit time, but to whitelist apps or blacklist apps. You might even want to take it a step further and do the clean pipe rule. No devices in bedrooms overnight, period. The server room is closed at 9 p.m. All devices go into a locked drawer or somewhere within reach of you. Because let's be real, nothing good happens on the internet after dark. Let's talk about the second vector, of attack. Identity spoofing. Insecurity. Spoofing is when a bad actor pretends to be something trusted to gain access. The digital world spoofs reality. It presents a filtered, highlighted real version of life that makes your child's actual life feel boring, poor, or inadequate. These kids are looking for validation. If they don't get it from you, through positive affirmations and feedback, and they don't get it from God, if you're not teaching them about God, they'll beg for it from the algorithm. A thought virus coming from a friend telling them what they should be looking into or what's cool, what's not. And let's be real, the algorithm charges a high price, your self-worth and their self-worth. Paul gives us the firewall against this kind of spoofing. In Romans chapter 12, verse 2, and not be conformed to this world, but ye be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect, the will of God. Conform means to be poured into a mold. The world wants to mold your child into a consumer, reactor, and a follower. We as guardians, we're called to renew, to rewrite the code of their mind with truth. Consider this tactical solution: identity anchoring. Let's be real, you can't just remove the phone. You have to replace the validation. I know when most of us wake up, we check our phones. Clearly when we wake up, we're supposed to thank the Lord for another day and waking us up on this side of the dirt. You could do something similar like that with your kids. So before they get to that phone, they can check in with you, remind them who they are, remind them who they serve, and also remind them that they're a leader. One thing my mom used to always tell me growing up: be a leader, not a follower. See, the antidote to get these kids away from these devices is analog creations. And what I mean by that is, get our sons building something. That's always a skill set that's needed. It gets the creative juices flowing. Same thing with our daughters. Get them to crafting, whether it be knitting or something. Something I do often with my kids, I look at their devices and see what they're looking at, and I ask them questions like, is that real or is that something that's staged? And you teach them spot on the proof. Since one of my sons is into becoming an astronaut in the planets, he watched a lot of videos that typically talk about facts about each planet, how many moons they have, their orbit, things of that nature, all things astrology and astronomy. And I tend to challenge him on the information where I say, how do you know that that's true? Did you research it on your own? Or are you just going off of the video that you're watching? And sometimes what happens is he pauses and says, well, I've watched many videos about this. And sometimes we actually get there and look up things together just to validate the information. But I always tell him, trust but verify. Always research and go over the information and prove it to be true or false. Now, the most dangerous threat, the denial of service attack. A denial of service attack floods a network with so much traffic that it shuts down legitimate connections. This is what phones could do to families. We could all physically be in the same room, but digitally miles apart. The noise of the internet blocks the signal of leadership. You could be talking to someone and they'd be like, yeah, oh, I heard you, but didn't hear nothing you said, but they did hear noise. Honestly, we all can be a little bit guilty of this, but we're the ones that need to set the example, or should be setting a positive example for our kids. So rather it be your spouse is talking to you and you're scrolling, or your kids trying to tell you about their day, put that crap down and listen, because they're paying attention to exactly what you're doing, and they could be replicating the same thing. So when you're telling them about what they should be doing, whether you're at the dinner table or not, you got to check yourself as well and make sure you're not doing that in front of them, setting a bad example. Because if you're trying to correct it and you haven't corrected yourself, they're going to look at you crazy. So just be present in the moment. See, God's protocol for parenting requires high bandwidth. It's not a weekly meeting. It's a constant stream. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 6 through 7 says, these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine home, and when thou walkest by thy way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. Notice the timing on that passage. Sitting, walking, lying down, rising up. That's 24/7 coverage. That's always on parenting. You can't do these things if your face is buried into a screen. Here's a practical solution as well. The Faraday cage. You can even go to the extent of creating zones in your home where the signal can't be reached, kind of like your living room, the dining room. Here's the dinner table protocol. No devices, no exceptions. Leave the phones elsewhere. This is where you download wisdom into them. See, when you're at the dinner table, back in the day, everybody was talking about something, and something was getting learned or taught. I'll be honest, sometimes we don't sit down and have dinner. Kids eat at different times, but you have to work on those things. You have to work on that focus time to where we all sit down and eat at the same time. I know some of us may work shift work or whatever the case may be, but prioritize that time where you're all sitting down and having dinner together as a family. Even if you're just quiet starting off and it's awkward, eventually somebody's going to start talking about something, somebody will crack a joke, and it'll just begin to flow naturally. But just please prioritize it. Something I do with my kids when I talk to them about things, I make sure we're making eye contact. Because when you're giving full eye contact to someone, you're giving them your attention. You're intentional. Another solution would be the digital Sabbath. Maybe once a week, maybe on a Sunday, the house goes offline. Reset the dopamine receptors. Remind them that life exists outside the matrix. Go do something outside. Touch grass, as they call it. But be present in the moment without technology. In closing, we got to hold the line. Fellas, here's the bottom line. The algorithm is a tool, but a tool without a master is a weapon. If you abdicated your role as a gatekeeper, you're inviting the enemy into the wire. You honestly don't need to be a tech genius to do this. You just need to be present. You need to be aware, and honestly, you need to be willing to be the bad guy and say no to the screens so you can say yes to their future. Here's the final charge. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 11 says, "Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wills of the devil." The wills essentially means the schemes, the tricks, the algorithm. Stand against them. With that being said, protect your house, secure your legacy, and keep God first.